Your husband, Rowan Faludi, has been a Toastmaster for over 10 years. His unique style of humor has taken him to the District 86 contest multiple times. He's also an accomplished scuba diver and underwater photographer. I'm not sure how much preparing you do have to do underwater scuba diving up in Canada, but I'll have to think about that for a while. Sharing his experiences with his audience when he's not diving or engaged in Toastmaster activities. He's an economist and urban planner and has helped start a well-known urban economics firm in Toronto. His speech title, he brings this unique style of humor to all of his speeches. He is also a scuba diver. I mentioned those things. And today he will be talking about how the undersea world is not only miraculous, but hilarious. Title of his speech, A Fishtail, Rowan Faludi. Rowan?
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair and fellow Zoomers. Before I begin, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm half Italian and half Scottish and half Hungarian and half Canadian. And in university, I studied mathematics. Well, maybe not so much. But in Canada, having multiple heritages is very common. In fact, when I was growing up in Toronto, we had this incredible restaurant. It was called Ginsberg and Wong. It was amazing. It was like the first ever fusion cuisine restaurant. You could get a pastrami sandwich and chop suey, latkes and lo mein. It was amazing. Every high school couple went there on their first date. Every guy used to take his girlfriend there for her birthday. And sometimes they even went there when they were breaking up. Because how bad could a breakup be over bacon and egg rolls? It was absolutely amazing. In fact, if it wasn't for Ginsberg and Wong, there would have been no love life in Toronto in the 1980s. Now, one of the things that most of my friends know about me is that I'm a scuba diver. I've been all over the world taking pictures and interacting with the fish. And what a lot of people don't know about me is that I'm also a level 1 Reiki master. Now, Reiki is the ancient practice of using your life forces for healing and relaxation. And one day, I had an idea. Now, I know it would have made for a much more profound speech if I had a dream. But at the time, it seemed like a pretty good idea. I was going to combine my 2 vocations. I was going to use Reiki to talk to the fish. Yes, I was going to become the fish whisperer. But first, as luck would have it, not long after that, my wife Sue and I were in the Caribbean scuba diving, and we're being followed by this great big huge grouper. Now, groupers are like big dopey dogs. They're curious, they follow you around, and they get really close to you. And they're huge. Sometimes they can be over 500 pounds. So I had to wait for the perfect moment to start my new career as the fish whisperer. And then I found it when my wife wasn't looking. So I went up to the fish and I looked him straight in the eye. And almost immediately we had this perfect Vulcan mind meld going on. I thought I would ask him some telepathic questions. I'd start off with some easy ones first. How are you? Why aren't you in school today, fish? But almost immediately we got into this intense staring contest. I wasn't blinking, he wasn't blinking. Well, it was easier for him because groupers don't have eyelids. But all of a sudden I realized I was getting low on air. I had to break away. So I started swimming away, and all of a sudden, bam! It was like I got hit on the head by a scuba tank. And all of a sudden I realized exactly what happened. I looked back, that stupid fish had headbutted me. And I'm thinking to myself, WTF, right? You guys all know what WTF stands for, right? It's an Italian expression. It dates back to the 16th century. It was one day the Pope, he calls up Michelangelo and said, Michelangelo, I got a job for you. I want you to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, right? But by then, Michelangelo's kind of getting on in years, his back is sore. He looks up at the ceiling and he sees what a big job it's going to be. And he realizes the traditional Italian expression, Mamma mia, just ain't going to cut it. So he looked the Pope right in the eye and he said, what the focaccia? Now, in North America, to save time, we've shortened that expression a little bit. But that's exactly what I was thinking when that stupid fish headbutted me. What the focaccia? Because he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew two things. First, there were no witnesses. It was my word against his, and he had given up nothing, unless maybe you're a level 1 Reiki master. And two, groupers are a protected species. It's like he was walking around with a diplomatic passport. I couldn't even retaliate even if I wanted to. Now, when people find out that I'm a scuba diver, almost inevitably, the first question they always ask me is, aren't you afraid of sharks? And I say, no. I've literally dove with thousands of sharks, and never once has one tried to headbutt me. In fact, there was this one time, Sue and I were diving off of a boat in the Bahamas. And the crew on board were cleaning some fish for lunch. And unfortunately, it attracted this huge school of sharks behind the boat. So in order for us to get to the ladder, to get back onto the boat, we had to swim through this school of sharks. Now, being the nice Canadian I am, I looked back at my wife and said, ladies first. So my wife started to swim towards the ladder, when all of a sudden this great big huge black tip cut her off. And you know what my wife did? She kicked the shark. And you know what the shark did? Nothing. Now, if it was me, he would have looked at me and said, lunch. But with my wife, he knew he met his match. Now, that night, after being headbutted by the grouper, we were in the hotel restaurant. It was a nice place, maybe not quite as nice as Ginsberg and Wong, but a nice place. And the waiter comes up to us and says, Signora, tonight we have a fantastic special. Tonight, the chef, he just picked it up from the fisherman on the dock this afternoon. Tonight, we have a pan-fried grouper. And I'm thinking, but in the end, I just couldn't do it. I'll just have a salad, I said. Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you so much. If I ever have grouper, I will make sure that I think about your headbutting experience. And we so appreciate your fun and humor you brought to us tonight.